Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the HazMat podcast, episode number 29. I'm Chris, of course, from HazMat, and today I want to carry on a little bit from our previous show talking about A Class Asbestos Removals. Now, just to quickly recap on the last episode, we talked about how A Class jobs are done, more or less about controlling airflow, and the measures we take to create negative air pressure, how much pressure is required, how we build a chamber to get people and materials in and out of the removal zone without bringing out contamination with them. So if you want more information about that, head on back to episode number 28 and check that one out. Today, because it's a big topic, I thought I would now talk about the clearance procedure, and that is to do with someone coming in that's independent of the removal contractor and actually running some tests to make sure that everything is safe and good and tickety-boo before we hand the job back over to our client. So first of all, we need an accredited assessor here in New Zealand. I'm sure it's similar in other countries as well, who is able to conduct these tests we talk about and ensure that the area is safe to inhabit. Now, how to get an accreditation? You have to apply to our body is called WorkSafe. Occupational safety body, and you need to supply I think a tertiary qualification in a similar field, I believe, something like that, and also complete the application process before you can become accredited. So this can't just be done by any Joe Blogs. You actually have to be registered and accredited under WorkSafe, at least here in New Zealand, to do that kind of work. So one of the things that an accredited assessor will do is, while the removal contractors are actually inside their enclosure doing asbestos removal, is they will usually put background air monitoring pumps outside of the enclosure. I think we touched on that briefly in the last episode as well, but that's another method for safety to make sure that there's no contamination coming out of the site, and that's dealt with by the assessor as well as the final sign-off at the end of the job. Okay, so we're in the enclosure, we've removed all the asbestos, whatever it was, we have cleaned everything nicely, we've cleaned all the plastic, we have got all of the waste has been sealed up and removed. Everything is ready for inspection. So there's a range of tests that the assessor will do. So number one is, first of all, they'll check the documentation and make sure that the documentation that the removal contractor has, the fact that they're licensed, the fact that they've got a plan in place of how they're doing this particular removal, the fact that they've notified WorkSafe, again in our case here in New Zealand, and they are doing the job within the appropriate time frame. They'll check all of that. Then they'll actually put a suit on themselves and go into the enclosure, and they will do, number one, a visual inspection. So they're going to look at what we were removing. Let's say it's a vinyl floor or something like that, and they're going to check the floor and make sure they can't see any vinyl left. I mean, that's a pretty much a no-brainer there, but they want to make sure, and it does happen in some cases, the contractor might miss a bit and have to go back and rectify that. So first inspection is a visual inspection, make sure that everything looks clean and looks like it's been removed correctly. Second function is they will take some kind of a physical sample. In most cases it's a swab test, so they'll run a swab over the removal area and perhaps even in the plastic enclosure itself, and they'll get that analysed at the lab looking for any asbestos fibres. They really want the swab test to come back all clear, obviously. So that's the visual inspection. That is the swab test or physical test. The next thing will be an air monitor as well. So they'll put a air monitoring pump or air pump into the enclosure and let that run. That will draw air into it and look for any fibres as well. So you're getting a visual examination, a physical examination, and an air test. And that is all got to come back within the appropriate levels, which ideally is 0, before they will allow the removal contractor to actually pack the job up itself. So, okay, everything goes off to the lab and gets analysed. The assessor is happy with the job so far, and he gets the results and everything looks good. So he will contact the removal contractor and he will say, hey, everything's fine, you can now proceed to stage 4 of the process. And stage 4 is the final thing. This is packing up all of the equipment, taking the signage down, and pulling out staples from the plastic enclosure or bits of tape or whatever it might be, but bringing the place back to how it was pre-removal, at least as much as possible. So once that's done, the assessor will actually come back again and do what's called a stage 4 inspection. And that again is a visual inspection of the removal area, but this time to ensure that in the process of packing up that there is definitely no debris or bits and pieces left behind that shouldn't be there. So they'll check again and make sure that they're satisfied before they will finally certify the job and notify the removal contractor or the client if they are dealing directly with the client. So again, it's a bit of a procedure to get A-class removal work up and running, as we talked about last episode, and then actually signed off at the end of the job isn't so straightforward as you might think. Hence, again, why it's so expensive to do, and not everybody down the road is a A-class removal or licensed removal contractor. A question that comes up from time to time is, hey, when you've finished the job, Chris, how long do we have to let the site sit before we can carry on with other work? So what people are meaning is it safe, as soon as you guys have gone, is it safe to carry on, or do we have to let things sit for a while before carrying on with laying a new floor or whatever it might be? And the answer is, based on all the tests that I've explained to you, the background air monitoring, the clearance testing, air monitoring, physical sample, visual inspection, stage 4 inspection, the minute that we are gone and the assessor is happy with the job and he's going to put the stamp on it, then you are perfectly safe to carry on as per normal with whatever works is required. So there you have it. That's the procedure in a nutshell. Also, this week here in New Zealand is actually Asbestos Awareness Week. So certainly I can't do a podcast without mentioning, get everybody aware of asbestos, please. This podcast is a great way to do it. It's free to watch. There's tons of educational videos now up to 29. And we're still finding day to day, taking phone calls or comments from people walking past that have no idea about asbestos, where it is, if it's dangerous or not, and how to find it. So Asbestos Awareness Week, help me, help you, help everybody. Let's get the word out about asbestos. Well, that'll do. Next week will be episode number 30, and I look forward to seeing you all there. Please help me by liking, subscribing, commenting on this video, and sharing it with your friends. That'd be great. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.